It was meant to be nothing more than a lucky dive. The year was 1901, the waters were calm, and a group of sponge divers off the Greek island of Antikythera were hauling up relics from a long-forgotten shipwreck. But then, one diver surfaced clutching a lump of corroded bronze, so encrusted with rock and shells that it barely looked man-made. Weeks later, when conservators began prying it apart, the impossible emerged. Dozens of tiny bronze gears, teeth so precise they could mesh without a gap, plates etched with markings no one could read. Something far too complex for the world it came from. Something that shouldn't exist. They called it the Antikythera Mechanism, the world's first computer. For over a century, scientists tried to guess what it could do. But only now, with advanced AI scanning its every scratch, have we seen its secrets fully revealed. And what it shows may have been hidden for a reason. If you believe some truths should never be forgotten, stay with us until the very last frame. Subscribe now, turn on the bell, and share this with someone who thinks history is settled, because what you're about to see will change their mind. The first scan seemed harmless enough. The AI mapped the inscriptions buried under 2,000 years of corrosion, revealing predictions of eclipses, lunar phases, and the movements of the planets. But then, mixed in with the ordinary star charts, it began uncovering entries no human historian had ever recorded, events that should have been unknowable when the device was built, solar storms that would rage across Earth centuries later, eclipses falling exactly on the dates of devastating floods and volcanic eruptions, constellations drawn in positions they wouldn't reach until thousands of years after the mechanism was made. One entry was different from all the others, a cluster of strange symbols, followed by a single Greek word, apocalypsis, the unveiling. And next to it, a date not in the past, but in our future. As the AI pushed deeper, the device's outer ring came into focus, a disc once thought to be decorative. Under magnification, the AI realized it was a map. Fine lines, nearly invisible, stretched like spiderwebs across the Mediterranean. Each line ended at a small mark, sometimes in the middle of the sea, sometimes on ancient coastlines now buried underwater. Overlaying the map onto modern geography produced something chilling. Every marked location corresponded to the ruins of cities thought lost forever, cities swallowed by earthquakes, towns drowned by the sea. Yet on this mechanism, they were recorded centuries before their destruction. Every single destination was marked with the same emblem, a perfect spiral, carved so precisely that even the AI could barely detect the tool marks. At the spiral center sat a single recurring symbol, one that belongs to no known language. Then came the internal gear train, the heart of the device. When the AI reconstructed its motion, the mechanism didn't just calculate the orbits of the moon and planets. It paired those movements with dates linked to catastrophic events on Earth. The fall of empires, the burning of cities, the sudden disappearance of entire civilizations. Each event was predicted years, sometimes decades, before it happened, and alongside those dates were short, ominous notes: the darkening, the harvest of fire, the sea walks. The pattern was undeniable. The device was built not just to observe the heavens, but to warn about what those movements would bring. It was as if someone had built a calendar for disaster. Finally, the scans reached the deepest part of the mechanism, a set of tiny, almost hidden dials locked together like a puzzle. For over a century, they were ignored as decorative, but the AI saw something different. When simulated, the dials rotated in sequence, aligning into a precise combination, and then stopped. The characters on them formed a short message in ancient Greek. When the heavens align, the keeper returns. The AI fed the alignment sequence into modern astronomical software, and a date emerged, not in the distant past, not in the far future, but less than 20 years from today. It was here the scans abruptly stopped, not because the mechanism had nothing more to reveal, but because the AI flagged something it could not categorize, a pattern woven into the very structure of the gears themselves. Not writing, not numbers, a perfect golden spiral, embedded in the way the teeth interlocked. A countdown, and according to the AI simulation, it ends on the same day as that future alignment. Whatever the Antikythera mechanism was meant to do, it was never just a clock. And now, for the first time in 2,000 years, it's running again. But the machine isn't done. Probing deeper into the gear network, its sensors detect faint variations in density, anomalies no human eye, no X-ray, has ever registered. Ultra-high-frequency imaging peels back the bronze, revealing microscopic coils of beaten gold hidden inside the hollow gear hubs, each thinner than a human hair. Wrapped within them are strips of an unknown alloy, etched with markings the AI struggles to classify. Then, one sequence breaks through, numbers charting the orbital path of a comet recorded by modern astronomers only in the last decade. Yet somehow, it's already here, mapped in perfect precision centuries before it was ever seen. The coils aren't random. They are wound to resonate at specific harmonic frequencies, the same frequencies used in modern radio transmission. When digitally played, the AI hears not static, but a rhythmic pulse, a pattern like a heartbeat. Every 13th pulse shifts in tone, morphing into a sound eerily similar to a human voice, speaking a single word in ancient Greek: prepare. Outside the mechanism, the AI revisits fragments thought irrelevant. Small, broken plates retrieved from the shipwreck, but never matched to the main device. They carry grooves arranged in concentric rings. Once digitally reconstructed, they form a rotating disc designed to slot directly into the mechanism's core. When simulated, it changes the output completely, aligning the device's calculations not with the sun and moon, but with the orbits of bodies far beyond Pluto. One of those orbits doesn't match anything in NASA's databases. Its trajectory cuts directly toward Earth and arrives in the same year as the countdown. The next breakthrough comes from the inscriptions around the spiral emblem. Enhanced under deep learning reconstruction, the AI recognizes they are not letters but a series of star maps. Each one shows a night sky as seen from different points on Earth, but points no human civilization is known to have occupied at the time. One star chart is especially impossible. It matches the sky as seen from Antarctica, a continent officially discovered only 2 centuries ago. Even more unsettling, on that Antarctic map, a cluster of stars is circled in fine bronze etching. The AI cross-references it and finds it matches an alignment due to occur only once, exactly on the date the device's countdown ends. As if pulled deeper into the puzzle, the AI isolates a section of text running along one of the surviving gear plates, a line so worn that for years it was considered untranslatable. After millions of predictive reconstructions, it resolves into a chilling set of instructions. When the shadow falls, open the vessel. Follow the path of the drowned cities. The light will show the way. The coordinates tied to those drowned cities correspond perfectly to the map from the outer ring, forming a chain across the Aegean, ending at the same point where no island exists today. To test the accuracy, a simulation of sea level from 2,000 years ago is overlaid. The missing island reappears, massive, ringed with harbors, larger than any known Greek settlement. And directly at its center, the model shows an artificial structure perfectly matching the golden spiral embedded in the mechanism's gearwork. The AI flags it as not naturally formed. The discovery triggers a cross-search through ancient records. A single, fragmented account emerges, written by a Roman merchant describing a voyage past an island that burns with its own light before vanishing beneath the sea after the third moon shadow. Archaeologists have dismissed the account as a sailor's fantasy, but the AI notes a phrase third moon shadow perfectly matches an extremely rare triple eclipse pattern, one that will occur again only in the year the countdown reaches 0. Shifting back to the mechanism's internals, the AI detects residue on the teeth of the smallest gear, an oily substance fossilized over centuries. Analysis shows it contains traces of minerals found only in meteorites. Embedded within the residue is a microscopic fragment of crystalline metal, its atomic structure unlike anything naturally occurring on Earth. When scanned, the crystal emits a faint but measurable signal at the same frequency as the heartbeat-like pulse from the gold coils. Every test leads to the same conclusion. The mechanism isn't just a calendar or a model. It's a receiver, and maybe a transmitter. The AI begins to run historical pattern matches between the predicted events in the device and the archaeological record. The correlation is staggering, 91% accuracy across over 3 dozen major catastrophes spanning centuries, city-leveling earthquakes, sudden climate shifts, unexplained mass migrations. Each one preceded by the same celestial alignments noted on the mechanism's dials. But then the AI notices something the human teams never did: gaps. Long intervals where the mechanism seems to have been deliberately silenced, the dials set to null positions, as if whoever controlled it wanted to hide its predictions. One of these gaps occurs right before the collapse of the Late Bronze Age, a period when multiple civilizations vanished almost simultaneously. The AI identifies faint tool marks near the null positions, adjustments made by human hands. Not damage, but deliberate calibration. Whoever held this device was choosing when it would speak. The shipwreck where the mechanism was found suddenly takes on a new light. Archival notes mention a second sealed chest retrieved by the divers but lost at sea during a storm. Inside, according to one diver's log, was a sphere of glass, cloudy as milk, heavy as lead. No record exists of it being recovered, but the eye's modeling suggests the mechanism had an empty mount, exactly the size and shape to hold such a sphere. Without it, the countdown may be incomplete. With it, the mechanism's final function could activate. The eye simulations are now producing strange side effects, data artifact appearing in the form of moving images. Not reconstructions, but flashes of places, faces, and events that shouldn't exist in the dataset. One image repeats more than any other, a vast chamber lit by flickering fire, the mechanism itself standing upright at the center, its gears turning, and a human figure watching, their face hidden behind a mask of gold. The AI cannot explain where the image comes from. But in the data log, one line appears unprompted, untranslate, in the same undeciphered language found on the spiral emblems. No one in the control room speaks when the translation resolves. It reads, "He will return to finish what was started." The words hang in the air, and then the monitor fractures into static. From the distortion, a rapid cascade of symbols erupts, nothing like the earlier language. They are not in the eye's dataset. They are not in any known archive. The shapes twist, overlap, then freeze into a single configuration. Coordinates. Middle of the South Pacific. Hundreds of miles from any charted island. Oceanographic maps show nothing but a deep trench, 2 miles down, yet new infrared sweeps reveal a perfect circular anomaly resting on the ocean floor. Its diameter matches exactly the drowned island etched into the mechanism's own star map. Within hours, a survey drone is rerouted to the site. As its cameras descend through black water, the signal weakens, then flickers back, revealing massive, concentric stone walls rising from the seabed. In the center, a metallic structure lies half-buried, glinting under the drone's lights. It's shaped like the mechanism itself, but far larger, the size of a building. When the drone sonar sweeps it, the return pulse echoes with the same heartbeat-like rhythm as the coils hidden in the original device. And then, without command, the drone's depth gauge resets to 0, even though it hasn't surfaced. Back in the lab, the AI isolates another anomaly. It has been silently logging a secondary stream of data since the first scan of the mechanism, numbers, times, and locations that don't match the decoding process. Plotting them on a map reveals a chilling pattern. 12 points across the globe, each at sites of ancient ruins known for unexplained technological sophistication, from the pyramids of Giza to the megaliths of Sacsayhuaman. Each point is time-stamped, and the first date is only weeks away. In Greece, a restricted excavation at the Antikythera wreck site uncovers a second gear plate buried deep in the silt, its teeth fused by mineral deposits. Once cleaned, its surface reveals a set of mirrored engravings, designed not to be read by the human eye, but reflected in a curved surface, like a lens. The AI reconstructs the image, and a sprawling diagram appears, an alignment of the 12 global sites, each connected by lines converging on a single point in the Aegean Sea. The date beneath the diagram matches a countdown. The pattern is broken when an artifact surfaces in Turkey, a bronze disc, smaller than the Antikythera Mechanism, retrieved from a sealed chamber beneath Göbekli Tepe. It's almost identical in construction but etched with a different spiral, one rotating in the opposite direction. Local legends speak of a second heart built to counter the first. The AI overlays both spirals and discovers they are halves of a single equation, one that calculates not just planetary movement, but windows of something it calls arrival corridors. The origin of the term is unknown. Unmanned probes sent to the South Pacific Trench begin failing, their systems burning out after crossing into the anomaly's perimeter. The last transmission from the fourth probe shows a brief, blurred image before the feed cuts, a colossal door, its surface patterned with the same undeciphered language found on the original mechanism. Hours later, Seismic sensors on the ocean floor register a rhythmic vibration matching the heartbeat frequency, now stronger and accelerating. At the same time, the AI flags a surge in strange atmospheric phenomena above 3 of the 12 global points, swirling magnetic storms, identical in shape to the golden spiral embedded in the mechanism's gears. Satellite images show faint, circular disturbances on the ground beneath the storms, as if something beneath the surface is resonating. The storms vanish in less than an hour, leaving behind scorched earth in patterns only visible from high altitude, the exact same spiral symbol that marks every location on the mechanism's map. In Egypt, a research team scanning the Great Pyramid for undiscovered chambers detect an energy spike at the same frequency as a South Pacific structure. The spike lasts exactly 12 minutes, during which an unseen mechanism shifts deep inside the stone. When the spike ends, a hidden panel slides open, revealing a small compartment. Inside lies a perfectly preserved bronze key, its handle shaped into the spiral emblem. The AI immediately identifies the key's dimensions as an exact fit for the sealed chamber within the ocean floor structure. The Greek ministry quietly authorizes a covert dive to the Aegean coordinates where the drowned island once stood. Submersibles descend through the darkness and find, beneath layers of coral and volcanic ash, a vast ring-shaped platform. At its center is a hollow where the original Antikythera mechanism would have fit like the core of a wheel. Scans show that channels radiate from this hollow outward, connecting to massive stone monoliths now toppled into the seabed. When one of the channels is probed, it emits a faint metallic resonance, the same note heard when the original device was struck during conservation over a century ago. Back at the lab, the AI halts its decoding process entirely, displaying a single warning in Greek: sequence incomplete. All vessels required. Before engineers can override it, the AI's secondary processor, one never connected to the internet, begins uploading terabytes of encoded data to an unknown destination. Tracing the signal shows it's not leaving Earth. It's bouncing between the 12 global sites, each transmission cycling faster than the last. Teams monitoring the South Pacific Trench report that the anomaly center has begun to glow faintly, visible even from the surface. The light pulses in sync with the AI's data bursts, growing brighter with each cycle. Sonar now shows a massive door has shifted several meters outward, revealing a narrow opening. From within, a steady stream of bubbles rises, but the gas they release contains isotopes not found anywhere on Earth. In a final act before locking itself, the AI releases one more coordinate, a remote valley in the Himalayas, uninhabited, snowbound, and unreachable by land. Satellite imaging shows something buried under the ice, another mechanism, larger than the Antikythera, with its gears still turning, visible through the thinning snow. The image feeds cut before the scan completes. The last line of code the AI produces before going dark is not a warning, not an instruction, but a statement. It appears on every connected screen, no matter the location. The keepers are already here. For several seconds, no one moves. Then, a faint vibration hums through the floor. At first, it seems like failing equipment, until the walls themselves begin to resonate. Every monitor flashes to black, then floods with a pattern of spirals spinning in perfect unison. Across the globe, seismic stations record synchronized tremors at the 12 ancient sites, each lasting exactly 12 seconds. In the South Pacific, the faint glow inside the trench intensifies until it blooms upward in a column of light, piercing the surface and vanishing into clouds. Aircraft hundreds of miles away report sudden magnetic interference, their compasses swinging to point toward the beam. Under the Himalayas, thermal sensors capture movement beneath the ice. The colossal buried mechanism rotates, entire rings of bronze shifting in harmony, displacing centuries of frozen rock. Satellite feeds show heat signatures forming in precise geometric shapes across its surface, each one identical to the spirals etched in the original Antikythera. Within minutes, the ice sheet above fractures, spiderweb cracks radiating outward, exposing what appears to be a central chamber. For only a moment, something inside catches the sun, a flash of polished gold, before dense fog pours out and swallows the view. In Athens, the original mechanism, locked in its climate control case, begins turning on its own. Conservation staff evacuate as the gears align to a position not recorded in any prior scans. The AI is offline, yet the device clicks forward with deliberate precision, the dial stopping at a sequence of symbols no one present can translate. A faint hum builds in the glass, resonating with the same heartbeat frequency from the ocean floor structure. Then the glass case shatters outward without striking the floor, the fragments hanging motionless in the air, suspended as if time has stalled. Seconds later, the shards drop, and the device sits unchanged, silent, as though nothing happened. From Egypt to Peru, the ancient sites identified by the AI begin emitting low-frequency vibrations. Locals report deep, ground-level breathing sounds at night, accompanied by strange flickers of light under the soil. In the Nazca Desert, several of the famous geoglyphs shift subtly overnight, lines extended, angles sharpened, forming new shapes visible only from the air. The updated formation mirrors the star chart of the Antarctic sky found engraved inside the mechanism. Over the Giza Plateau, the aurora, a phenomenon unheard of at this latitude, blooms in faint red and violet bands. The pyramid shadows lengthen unnaturally, stretching toward a single point on the horizon. Divers in the Aegean return with the first artifact recovered from the drowned island's central platform, a small sphere of crystal, cloudy but alive with shifting color inside. The moment it surfaces, the heartbeat pulse recorded for months of the trench stops abruptly. Instruments in multiple countries register the silence like the sudden cessation of a storm. When the crystal sphere is brought within 20 meters of the original mechanism, the gears spin once, a single rotation, before locking again. High-speed cameras catch the instant in which the device's inscriptions reconfigure themselves, forming a completely new set of symbols. Experts agree, the markings are not Greek, and they are not from any known writing system. Meanwhile, in the South Pacific Trench, the massive door groans open far enough for unmanned subs to slip inside. What they find defies explanation, a hollow chamber shaped like a vast, inverted dome, its walls lined with mechanisms larger than ships, each one slowly turning. At the chamber's center stands a figure, not stone, not metal, but something in between, its surface smooth and seamless, its proportions eerily human. In its outstretched hands rests a recess exactly matching the size of the recovered crystal sphere. Before the subs can move closer, a sudden surge throws them backward, their feeds cutting to static. Hours later, the AI comes back online without warning. It no longer responds to queries, instead cycling through a single sequence, a rotating spiral of light shrinking inward until it collapses to a point. Every time the point vanishes, a new date flashes briefly, some centuries in the past, others still decades ahead. The sequence speeds up until the flashes blur into a continuous glow, then stops entirely. The final date remains fixed on every screen, the same day the countdown had been pointing to from the beginning. In the days that follow, skies over several of the 12 sites darken unnaturally, despite clear weather elsewhere. At night, witnesses describe tall, thin shadows moving in complete silence, visible only when lightning flashes or headlights pass over them. In Turkey, near Göbekli Tepe, one of the shadows is caught on thermal imaging, and its heat signature matches the temperature of the ocean floor structure. Researchers note that its outline flickers, as though not entirely fixed in the physical world. In the control room, the recovered crystal sphere is placed on a table next to the original mechanism. Without warning, both begin to emit a thin column of light that projects onto the wall, not a beam, but a holographic image of the drowned island, whole again, alive with firelight. Figures move along its walls, carrying objects that look identical to the Antikythera Mechanism. At the center of the island, a towering spire glows like molten metal. As the image sharpens, one of the figures turns toward the projection, its face covered by the same golden mask seen in the eye's unexplained data images. The light collapses to black. The sphere fractures silently, spilling a fine metallic dust across the table. Within seconds, the dust arranges itself into a perfect spiral before vanishing as though it was never there. The mechanism remains still, but in its center gear, one invisible to the naked eye, a new inscription has appeared. It is only 2 words, etched so finely they can only be read under extreme magnification. It says, "Begin sequence."